Welcome to Exhausted Reviews, enthusiast-focused car reviews. My name is EddieX, and today we are experiencing this B7 generation Audi RS4. So this era of RS4 ran from about 05 to 08, meaning it overlaps with the E46 M3 and E90 generation M3. During its lifetime, we also saw the introduction of the W204 Mercedes C63 AMG, which means at this time, all of the German luxury performance sedans had naturally aspirated V8s, which is a big change compared to today when the M3 has a turbocharged inline-six, the C63 is a four-cylinder hybrid, and the latest gen RS4, RS5 has a twin-turbo V6. But this is essentially a 20-year-old car now, 2 generations old. What does it feel like today? How does it compare to an E46 M3 and E90 M3? We're gonna find out. So let's talk about the powertrain of the B7 RS4. It's got a pretty special engine, a 4.2-liter naturally aspirated direct injected V8, which is technically the same one they put in the Audi R8 supercar, although slight modifications were needed to make it fit in a mid-engine layout. So you could also say this is sort of like an Audi R8 sedan. Although one thing you're going to notice when you first pop the hood is essentially this entire V8 sits in front of the front axle, which obviously is not ideal for weight distribution. It's almost kind of like a 911 in reverse, right? 911's our rear engine. This is very front engine, but the engine itself is a pretty special one. It revs to 8,000 RPM. Fuel cut is at 8,250. It makes 420 horsepower and 317 pound-feet of torque, which again, by today's standards, does not sound that impressive, but an engine like this is all about the experience, the sound. What does it feel like in a car like this? Of course, we're talking about an Audi, so it has Quattro with a fixed torque split, 60% to the rear, and this was only available with a 6-speed manual transmission. 0 to 60 in the mid 4-second range, to quarter mile in about 13, which again is not immensely quick by today's standards. We've really stepped up the power, performance, and acceleration, but it's all about how it feels. Something else to note is during this era, Audi did have another 4.2-liter V8 you would find in other models, but they did a lot of extensive changes in order to make this more high-revving, performance-oriented V8 fit in an RS model and, of course, the R8. So a lot of extensive changes between those two engines. Let's take a look at the exterior design of the RS4. So as an RS model, it has some slightly more aggressive and sporty visual cues to differentiate it from the regular A4 and S4, but it's not over the top. It's not meant to be overtly aggressive and sporty. So we have a unique front fascia here, slight differences from the regular models. We have the black hexagonal mesh grille filling out the various openings. And one of the most noticeable things actually is the wheel arches. The way these fenders flare out, it's quite pronounced and definitely more sporty looking. This one has been lowered on aftermarket coilovers, and these are the titanium package wheels. They have a slightly darker finish. And something else important to note is the front brakes. Those calipers, those are the ones from a Lamborghini Gallardo. So that's a pretty cool little tie-in with another Volkswagen Audi family brand, a sporty model, obviously. Now, in terms of the body style, this one is a 4-door sedan. In America, we got the sedan and the 2-door cabriolet, the convertible. For some reason, we never got the Avant, the wagon. It was never available. They built this in a wagon form. It's only recently that some of the manufacturers are granting us the privilege of buying the sporty wagons with the RS6. M5 is bringing the touring, but sadly, we never got the Avant. So here, either the sedan or the convertible, which is a very strange choice to not offer us the wagon. But anyways, around back, we have the oval exhaust tips. Even to this day, Audi is still using that as a visual cue for their RS models. This one has been debadged, and as you can tell, I mean, if you don't know to look for the exhaust tips, the fender flares, and a couple little badges, it still, to most people, would look like a regular old Audi A4 of this generation. But if you know what to look for, you know exactly what is under the hood of this RS4. All right, let's check out the interior. So this one has the light gray leather spec. You see the RS4 logo embossed on the seats, and a couple other differences between European models and American models to note. In Europe, they could get the bucket seat, so a little bit sportier looking. We did not get that in America. That's something Audi seems to make that decision. R8 was the same way. We didn't get the sportiest looking seats, but the seats are actually holding up pretty well. They are power adjustable. And another difference is the steering wheel. This is not the OEM original steering wheel that this car came with. That's the Euro spec steering wheel, which actually is the Lamborghini Gallardo steering wheel. So another Lamborghini Gallardo part found in this RS4, which is pretty cool. We've got the RS4 door sill plates here. This one does have the carbon interior trim, so that is original OEM carbon. We have a CD changer available in this too. Let's go ahead and hop in. Another difference is we have an actual insert key ignition right here. The European models offered a push button start, but for some reason in America, we did not get that in this RS4. Obviously, everything's going to be much more analog. Go ahead and start the car up. 6-speed manual shifter. That obviously is an aftermarket head unit. Actually, some of these buttons really do remind me of Lamborghinis of this era, the Gallardo specifically. But the carbon trim going across here, seats are still pretty comfortable. We do have a sunroof up here. There's a power privacy shade out back and also in the rear windows. We have analog gauges here with a little digital display screen in the middle. Very, very simple of this era. And take a look at that. 170,000 miles on this RS4. Let's just say you want to find your owner's manual. You think it might be in the glove box over there. Nope. It's actually underneath the steering column. There's another little storage space right here for your owner's manual. That's really unique. And then if we come around to the back, you fold down the center armrest. Kind of normal, right? But then if we open this up, the first aid kit is in here. It's hidden away inside here on the center armrest. And then if we fold this down right here, that is for your skis. If you want to have a pass-through to put your skis in your RS4. So those are some really, really cool little details of the B7 RS4. All right, so we're in the car with the owner, Dan. Thank you for letting me try out your RS4. What has it been like to own this thing? How long have you had it for?
I've had that car for about 2 years now. This is not the only RS4 that I owned before. I used to have a 07 red RS4 with 60,000 miles on it back in 2019.
Okay.
I don't know why I was dumb and I sold the car, basically. That's what we car people do.
Yes.
They sell, then
and then you regret it, yes.
They regret. It's like, why, you know? But, so I don't know if I can say what cars I owned before, but after that, I decided to go with the F82 M4.
Okay.
Because I'm like, man, I miss the power. Because obviously these cars are not that fast.
No,
you know,
not by today's standards.
Yes. 400 horsepower is not that much.
No.
So I was hyped and I got the F82 M4. So I owned that for about 2 years, and then I was like, man, I need something else. I jumped into the GTR, the
R35.
Yeah, so I've had that for a while, and then I'm like scrolling the pages down, and I'm like, I see another RS4 for sale.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I miss that car because I loved how they sound. So I've decided to buy another one. So,
but this one doesn't have 60,000 miles.
No,
this one has 170,000 miles. Yep. So were you nervous buying a high mileage RS4?
Yep.
Yeah. But you still did it.
So I mean, I bought that one with 150,000 miles.
This one?
Yes.
Okay.
So 150,000. I was kind of skeptical.
Okay.
Because I'm like, man, that's such a high mileage.
Yeah.
But everything checked out fine because I work on cars myself.
Okay.
So I checked the car out, and I'm like, man, this is actually not so bad, and you're not paying $30,000, $40,000. So I got it really cheap. And the previous owner, I'm actually the second owner.
Oh, the previous owner had it for that long,
yes,
and that.
yes,
Wow, that's
yes,
one owner car for that mileage. Rare. Okay.
He did some things already that I didn't like, and I had to change a few things, like the door blades. I know people give me a lot of crap about the door blades.
Okay.
People who actually own RS4, because they came out of the S line.
Okay.
So 07. Yeah. So I just installed them. Because,
that's the carbon trim at the bottom of the door. Okay.
Because the OEM ones, original ones, were starting to bubble.
Oh, okay.
And every time I came to the car, I looked at it, it's like, man, there's
drives
a
you
bubble.
crazy. Yeah.
So I'm like, man, I gotta change this. So I found them cheap.
Yeah.
I took them out. I installed that. So yeah, I mean, the car's been great, and
it
treating
looks good. Like in good. If you hadn't told me it had 170,000 miles, the pictures you posted on Instagram when we were chatting, I was like, oh, it's probably a 80, 90,000 mile car, right? It looks in really good condition, and the interior is holding up well too.
Yeah, yeah.
Mechanically though.
Yeah.
Everything's fine. Carbon cleaning is an issue, right? Carbon buildup.
So carbon buildup is an issue, and I'm gonna schedule that. I have a local guy, mechanic, that does that, and he does a really good job, because I did this to my previous RS4. So he's gonna do that. So that's on the list. But the car's been almost trouble-free.
Really?
Yes. There was no issues, except like the rear caliper was leaking. Oh, and the DRC failed.
Okay.
So I installed a coilover.
That's it's gonna. If you buy a B7 RS4, you know it's gonna fail at some point, and just plan on buying coilovers.
Yep,
it's kind of like I remember with the first gen R8. Like me and a friend both had one. We're like, MagRide's gonna go bad at some point, and you're probably just gonna do coilovers afterwards.
Yep.
Okay, so DRC's gone.
Yeah, DRC is gone. I ripped everything, all the lines. And the thing is, it was not leaking from the shocks. It was leaking from the hard line.
Oh, really?
So it was pretty much rusted.
Okay.
It rusted out because I saw it, and it started dripping, drip. So I'm like, it's time. So some people fix that, but it's too expensive.
Yeah.
And then you need to have a special tool to, when you replace the line, to pump all the fluid back in. Okay. So I said, let's just install, some coilovers.
Okay. But is this one, so you had 50,000 miles is pretty low for a B7 RS4. Sold it. Now this high mileage one. Yeah. Is this one the keeper then?
I think so.
You think so? You still love it. You're in love with it.
Yeah, I love it. I love how it drives. The thing is, I like cars that you don't see on the road every day. So it's like, there is a lot of faster cars than this.
100%, yeah.
You can, buy something crazy, but this car is something that, to some people, this car looks like a regular Audi A4.
It's an old A4, yeah.
But to car guys, I've seen people, showing me thumbs up. Yeah. They pulled out. It's like, I know what it is. Yeah. I'm like, really? And this kid is like 20 years old. I'm like, how the heck you know what it is?
You were barely born when this car came out.
Exactly. So I'm like, well, that's kind of cool,
Okay.
Yeah.
It is definitely. I was looking up the production numbers, and like, there were, I think, 2,000-ish in America.
Under.
And 40,000 E46 M3. So like, it's not even close in terms of build quantities compared to the M3.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yep.
So no mechanical issues so far. Nothing major. And you enjoy it. I didn't know you had the previous gen or previous lower mileage RS4. Did you think about anything else when you're shopping for this?
Not really.
Not really.
I have a list.
Yeah.
I have a list. I want to own like the 350R.
Oh,
like you.
Me too.
Yeah.
I regret selling that car. So you did what I want to do. You had the car, you sold it, you regretted it, you bought another one.
Exactly.
I'm currently in the sold it and regret it phase. Haven't bought another one yet.
Yes. So about the thing is with this car, why I like it, because it's V8.
Yes.
It's manual.
Yes.
It's 4-door.
Yes.
It's all-wheel drive.
Yes.
And I tell you the truth, I love all-wheel drive cars because where I live.
Chicago. Suburbs of Chicago.
I use cars all year round.
Okay.
I don't store them. Even my GTR, I drive it through winter time.
Okay.
I just slap the OEM wheels with the winter tires on. Plus, I have 2 kids.
Yeah.
So they still fit in the back.
They still fit in the back for now.
So it's kind of, it does everything. I like the cars that are, like you can just take it anywhere.
Yeah.
Grocery shopping.
Yeah.
You can take it for a short trip, not like, my GTR stays in the garage. and it's most of its time because you know they don't fit in the back.
Yeah.
I mean you can, but you hit
It's
your
not
head.
comfortable.
It's not. Yeah,
no.
exactly. It's not practical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Is there anything, I always love asking this question, is there anything you hate about this car? Anything you really don't like?
Anything that I hate about this? Man,
the
that's
B7
a tough
RS4.
question.
It is. That's why I love asking it.
I think it's because it's not that fast.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's it does not have that, you know, kick. It's not that quick.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of sluggish. I mean, I think a lot of people give me, you know, again for it. It's like, no, the car is good. I'm like, trust me. Maybe because I own faster
You have an
cars
R35,
before.
which is
911 turbo I used to own.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you get that twin turbo and
Yeah.
you, even the tune and this, it's a quick car. So it's a little bit sluggish to me. I wish it was a little bit faster. Like, yeah, I can throw the supercharger on it.
That's what I was going to ask. Have you thought about doing the supercharger?
Not with that mileage.
Okay.
Unless I'm gonna rebuild the
Everything,
whole motor
yeah.
and the whole thing, start from scratch and then throw it on. That maybe. So that's the only thing that I really don't like. I mean, it's kind of a small car too. It is
Yeah.
a small car.
Yeah.
It's not a big car. So, but that's nothing.
But the fact that even though you've owned faster and you can buy faster cars, you still have it and want it, that says a lot about the enjoyment factor of it.
Right.
How it still feels special. So
Yeah.
looking forward to taking it for a spin and seeing what it's like.
Hell yeah.
Thank you, Dan. All right, time to take the RS4 for a drive. Clutch in, start up that V8, parking brake down. So we have this armrest thing, right? But if you put the armrest down, like, how are you supposed to shift like this? And then the parking brake is in the way too, right? Like this was just a poorly designed armrest, so the owner just leaves it up, and it makes sense just to totally leave it up. So that armrest is a weird decision. I feel like this Audi V8 just never got that much attention. It got overshadowed by the V10 and eventually the twin turbo engines, but this is a properly high revving, naturally aspirated V8. I mean, over 8,000 RPM. That's about what my Shelby 350R did. The V10 isn't that much higher than this. Like, this is a pretty cool, fun engine, paired with a nice 6-speed manual transmission. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not going to be fast by today's standards, not remotely, right? Even if we look at the modern day RS4, RS5, we get the RS5 here in America. I mean, it's twin turbo V6 making not that much more power on paper, 420 to now 444, that's what it's about at, but it's a torque figure that's way more, over 100 pound-feet additional torque, and it's just gonna be way, way quicker. This thing, 60 in 4-point-something seconds, quarter mile in 13. It's not slow, but like I said, it's kind of funny when this first came out. Everybody's calling it like it's a rocket ship. It's ridiculous with the V8. It's really fun just to see how things have evolved and change, and our perception and what we consider to be fast. Let's take this turn here. A thing I like when I drive cars like this is you can just floor it and run it to redline through 3 gears, and technically I was doing about the speed limit here on these country roads. If I did that same thing in a modern era, like I just had an M5, a new generation M5, through 3 gears is like double, triple the speed limit, so you can enjoy it more. The steering is actually rather light. I do like this steering wheel. The owner told me it's the same one as a Gallardo. It's flat bottom here. In America, we did not initially get the flat bottom steering wheel. Actually, I don't think we got it at all. And this one is flat bottom. I'm gonna hit the S button on the steering wheel. That opens up the exhaust valves, I think. Let's see again. There's a speed limiter beep warning. The seating position is also very interesting. I feel like I am sitting very, very far forward. The hood just falls off immediately, so it feels like I might as well be on the front axle. So it's just me sitting next to the engine, and then there's the front of the car. Now, that engine positioning does make it rather front weight bias. It's like a 58-42 split in terms of the weight distribution. Now, curb weight is still reasonable. I mean, of this era, right under 4,000 pounds, thanks to things like aluminum hood, fenders, and the trunk to try to lower the weight compared to a regular A4. With all-wheel drive, this is fun. This is just fun. It really does remind me of the E39 M5 a little bit, I feel. Probably because V8 manual, even though that's rear-wheel drive and it is technically older, but more akin in kind of that size segment. It's actually very easy to get comfortable with this transmission, clutch. Yeah, this thing feels like it wants to dance. I think I see the appeal. Definitely a little bit understeery, the turn I took earlier, a little bit higher velocity. It trends toward understeer combination of Quattro all-wheel drive, and I think the engine positioning, it's kind of, I didn't realize it was going to be that far forward. I popped the hood, I was like, whoa, the whole thing is all the way up there. In terms of some of the tech that this vehicle had when it was new, we did have dynamic ride control. It's been taken out of this vehicle, but that was that cross-linked hydraulic system for the damper to try to prevent some of the body roll. They still carry that through modern era vehicles. I remember when I was shopping for my RS7, there were some that had DRC, and I didn't want DRC. I wanted air suspension because I wanted to be able to, you could either lower the ride height to make it look nice, but also it's a little bit more comfortable. DRC was here. We've got, let's see, the upgraded brakes I talked about, the Gallardo. Compared to an E92 M3, the brakes on this are definitely much more strong. I feel like the brakes were kind of a weak point in stock factory form of the E92 M3. And the engine. We really should talk about this engine. I'm getting some little burbles and pops out back, and with a car of this era, we know it's authentic. It's a very linear pull all the way to 8,000. Ah, yes. Speed limiter beep. That is something else of this era. But it's a nice powertrain you just want to engage with, have fun with. Now, you could put a blower on one of these, right? Supercharger, probably give you an extra 100-ish horsepower, but I feel like, especially a car of this age, when I asked the owner, I was like, would you want to supercharge this one, Dan? He was like, no, not something of this many miles on it. Yeah, that is absolutely a consideration. Cars are things wear, right? And if you want to put boost into something that was originally a naturally aspirated application, you're going to want to make sure things are strengthened and are okay and good to go. But I don't think I would want to do that. Yeah, this does feel fun. This does feel fun. How does it compare to an E46 M3? The E46, whoa, let me try that all over again. The E46 M3 definitely feels more nimble, more playful, especially, I mean, it's a two-door, right? It's a coupe. I don't love, this is probably going to be controversial, I don't like the engine in the E46. It sounds like a weed whacker. Yeah, it's inline six, it revs out. It just doesn't do it for me, especially when you compare it to a V8. Sorry, I'm going to go V8 over inline six 10 times out of 10. Compared to the E90 M3, I think that's probably a more appropriate comparison of this. The E90 drives better. An E92 is more nimble. The steering feels more direct. It's going to be a more engaging, dynamic feel, I think. But it's also not a fair direct comparison because Audi was the only one to offer it with all-wheel drive. So you live somewhere like Michigan where it snows, here in Chicago, like the owner, he drives this all year round. You can want a winter car even when it was new. If you wanted something that could do all the seasons in a more confident, maybe inspiring manner, this really was kind of a unique calling card that you had Quattro. That was Audi's whole thing, right? Now, it is a fixed torque split, 60% rear torque bias, and then they have the diff. You can send a bit of power to either wheel. So it was, I mean, this was modern era performance at the time, but it definitely was not up to the most recent stuff. Let's try some bumpier roads right here. It's on coilover, so you can definitely feel it for sure. And then we get to the rarity. These are unique. These are very rare. I don't know why they weren't that popular when they first came. Actually, I think I know. They were a lot more expensive. So this one, we actually have the window sticker, which is really cool. It was optioned around $73,000. You had to pay the gas guzzler tax. They were like $68,000 base. And if I recall correctly, that was like 20 grand more than an E46 M3. So it was a lot more expensive. Maybe that's why they did not sell fantastically. And maybe it's because they didn't give us the Avant, Audi. If you had offered us the Avant back then, maybe everybody would have bought an RS4. So the rarity of these are pretty crazy. 2,000, maybe under 2,000, somewhere around that was the production number for America. Compare that to the E46 M3, there were over 40,000 that came here. E90 M3 sold, they sold so many of those, right? You see them everywhere. It goes with Cars and Coffee, and there's probably a whole row of M3s. So you have the unique rarity for the RS4. Even globally, the sales numbers from BMW absolutely dwarfed what Audi was able to achieve with this. So $70-ish thousand when new. How much are these worth now? There aren't that many for sale. And when I looked, the ones with higher miles, 120, 130,000 miles, they were like in the $20-ish thousand range. So this one with 170,000 miles could probably be for an even better deal. Now, when you start getting into this mileage realm, you have to be much more careful because you're either paying for it when you buy it brand new, or you're paying for it when you have to recondition or fix it or maintain it or whatever, right? Like this might just be, owning an RS4 of this generation might just be a $40,000 experience, whether you pay 40 grand for one with 60,000 miles on it, or you pay 40 grand for 20 grand purchase price, 20 grand fixing things up. Things that go wrong from what I saw: carbon buildup, got to get that clean. I asked the owner how much he pays when that needs to get done. So you go to an aftermarket independent shop, $1,000. That's not terrible. Now, DRC can fail. This one failed. Gone the coilovers like we talked about. And there was something else that could also go wrong, and I'm completely blanking on it. But the point of it is, this is a 20-year-old performance Audi, a German car, a luxury car. Part costs are still going to be very high and probably only get higher as we get less and less, because they're not making replacement parts for this anymore. So to go into buying one of these, you have to be aware. And I would like to think that anybody potentially shopping for a car like this is already for sure aware of that. Otherwise, why would you be looking at this and not just going to your nearest dealership and being like, I would like an Audi S5, please, right? But how does it compare to those other competitors? That's really what I'm trying to get to. Like, at its core, would I buy one of these? I feel like this would be a fun winter car. This would be a fun car to throw a set of snow tires on, and you would be excited for the snow to come down and go do shenanigans. Go drift around some corners, do some donuts, have some fun, roll through the gears, listen to that V8. I think I would buy one without the supercharger on it and just enjoy that high, although a blow around this could be probably pretty fun. It would fill in the torque. Regardless, I think that would be kind of my mindset use case of it, like a fun little daily car. Would I choose this over an E92 M3? I gotta say no. I don't think I would pick this over an M3 from a pure driving dynamics standpoint. It's not exactly fair because this ran until 08 and this is an 07, and the M3 started and kept going and going and going. So I'll caveat all of that with, like, that's not really a fair direct comparison. And for some reason in my head, I keep going back to the E39 M5 because of that era, the M5 was still a reasonable size, probably pretty close in size to this, manual, naturally aspirated V8 in this era. And I do really, really like the E39 M5. It's one of my favorite M cars. Compared to the RS4, I don't know if I could pick. I'm also an Audi fan, right? You guys know I've owned like 5 Audis. I do really like Audis. And there was a moment in time when me and a friend were like, oh, we should look at RS4s, right? That could be pretty cool to get one of those. They're not that expensive, and then the price kind of went, yeah, it's hard. It's a debate. It is a debate. Comment below what you think. But to me, the rarity is definitely a factor. You don't see these. You just do not see RS4s on the road. I can think of maybe 2 that I've seen in the last year. There was an Imola yellow one I saw, and I got so excited. And Angel was like, what's the big deal? And I'm like, it's an RS4. They don't make... And she was like, okay, anyways, this yellow Audi went by, right? So that's something to regular people. This is just an old Audi. I'm pretty impressed with how well this one has stayed in its current condition. If you want to buy one of these, obviously consider the cost of various components we talked about. Servicing, just budget for that. Make sure you look at the history of the car. But this is a very, very unique and genuinely fun driving experience. And now I am extra sad that Audi never offered the Avant here for us. Hello, Camry. Good job. That would have been a really, really fun, special daily driver wagon. And also, unlike BMW, where we get one generation of V8 M3 and they're like, no more, they still kept the V8 for this, right? The B7 RS4 still had a 4.2 before they ended up going to V6 later on. So if you want something like this, but that wasn't offered with a manual from what I recall. The regular S5 you could get with a manual, but it just kind of picking and choosing, right? This still is the proper RS model, the top dog, the sportiest one you're supposed to get. It was well received when it was new, just didn't sell in crazy numbers to consumers, but from when I saw the tests, people liked them, and I think I see why. I like this thing. I like this thing a lot. It's fun. This is fun. Hope you guys enjoyed this review of the B7 RS4. Thanks for watching.